Hey guys, welcome to Life Reassembled. Today we are going to be starting a new series about reassembling our lives. And we're going to go step by step into what it takes for us to get from leaving the situation of being a trauma survivor, especially in a domestic abusive relationship, and then going into a life that is full of love and compassion and calmness and peace. There is a way out, and I know you guys can do it. I've done it. I've known others who've done it. And so we're going to walk through that together. Today, we're going to be talking about safety and what that really means in regards to not trying to heal too fast before we're ready. Welcome to Life Reassembled. This is the podcast where we learn how to reassemble our lives. I'm Julie Renee. I'm a life coach specializing in trauma recovery and a speaker. Together, we're going to be exploring what it really means to reassemble our lives on the rock after we've spent our entire lives piecing it together on sand. Here, we're going to talk about healing the mind, renewing the spirit, and organizing the parts of our lives that were once overwhelmed by complete chaos. Each episode is a space for reflection, faith, and practical steps for living with peace and intention. So, take a deep breath with me, settle in with some warm coffee, and let's begin reassembling our lives, piece by piece, together. I'm hoping that this episode finds you well, that you are on the other side of that abusive relationship or that traumatic experience, wherever it is that you're coming from. If you're not there yet, if you're still in the midst of something that's just very uncomfortable, if you are feeling trapped in your current situation, we have to get you out. There is help. Please look at the links below. I do have descriptions on how to help you get out safely and quickly. We have to make sure that that's taken care of first. So please pause this and get out. This episode is going to be geared towards those who are on the other side of it, where you just left. And it could just be where you left an hour ago, you left 2 weeks ago, you left maybe a few months ago. And this stage is not as easy as I thought it would be. I thought once I left, I would be able to just have a life and be able to be free. And there's so much freedom, of course, not being trapped in that kind of environment. Yet I wasn't expecting how much of an adult life I had to really step into. There's a responsibility that you step into where now you have to take care of yourself fully. And you want that. You've craved that this whole time. You didn't want to be 100% reliant on somebody else, most likely. And yet you were forced to in a way. And so now you have the opportunity to be on your own. But because it goes from one extreme to the next extreme, it's hard to position yourself where that feels safe and it feels like you're ready, because you just have to just dive into it. Now, depending on your living situation, whether you're living with family or friends or on your own, you have to make sure that where your environment is now currently is a safe one, and that you're able to heal during this stage. That is going to be your most important job more than anything else. Now, I know that you most likely need to figure out your financial situation. You have to figure out how you're going to eat and your bills and all that, because that might be a new, sudden, now you're 100% responsible for all this. And that is scary when you have to just pretty much find it right away. There's a lot of resources out there to help in that transition, and there's a lot of government assistance programs that can help you in this transition. Now, the goal is not to be reliant on the government programs for very long. The goal would be to be past that at some point in your stage, but that's what they're there for. They're great for the in-between. When you're going from 0 to 100 and you don't know where to go and how to survive. So look at all the things that are out there that are for free and apply for as much as you can and get as much help and assistance as you can for the financial situation that you're in, just to give yourself a little bit of breathing room in between. And I know that that might not be ideal, but again, if you keep in mind that this is just a short-term solution, just so you can breathe a little bit, and it gives you time to get yourself together and get yourself on the other side of that Give yourself grace. Like that's what they're there for, is that in between time. And then for getting a job, it really depends on where you're at. You might already have a job, but it might not be in a place where you can continue working because your ex might know where you're at. And so you have to be careful about that situation. That happened to me when I did my first major leave. When we were dating, he knew I was working. He was stalking me at work. And so that caused a big issue at the end of the day. And it actually caused me to go back to him because I was confronting him about the situation. And I got roped back into getting back together with him. So that was obviously bad across the board. And then it got worse. So be mindful of that. If there's a position where you can get, where you're in a safe environment, where you're around supportive people, things of that nature, and they don't need to know what happened unless you feel comfortable telling them and it's the right people. But it might be in a situation where it's best to not let them know what's going on just so that you feel safe. So use discretion, but be in a place where you're living safely and you're working safely, and they can't come after you in any way. You have to put that boundary up. That's like the biggest thing in this stage, is figuring out where that boundary is and keeping them out of that so that you can provide yourself space to heal. Because you know, if you are anything like me, and if you let them back in, or you remove that boundary, or you bring that boundary too close where you can't even see it, they will take advantage of that and they will make it worse, because that's how it works. So this is the time to stand your ground, to say enough is enough, no means no, and then don't move that line. Give yourself time to heal and to process and to grieve and to sleep. Like, there's so much our bodies have been deprived of for however long that you were in that traumatic experience. And so we have to ensure that our bodies are getting what they need, and it can't move forward if it's still in survival mode, if it's still thinking that the attack is going to come at any moment. So this would be priority, to get your environment set up, your work situation set up, get to a place as soon as possible on that end where you have those boundaries. And when you're not, when that's settled and you can breathe a minute and process and pray and grieve, like that's where the healing happens. And you need to give yourself space and time to do this. Do not start new projects. Do not go into anything new. You really just need time to breathe and to process. If you decide to jump into something new right away, a new relationship, which is the worst thing you can do. If you decide to jump into starting a business, worst thing you can do. If you decide to start a new project, worst thing you can do. Don't start anything new. There's already enough new going on. You have to figure out a new life. There's already too much going on and your body's overwhelmed, and you're going to still feel really uneasy. And it's not the fact that you're feeling uneasy because you're thinking like, oh, should I have left? Should I have done that? Like, what are they going to do? What are they going to say? How's that going to affect? No, those thoughts are not from the Lord. Those thoughts come from fear. And we've talked about fear last week. Those thoughts are from the insecurity of being in that relationship. That uncertainty is not from God. God is always certain. And God would never help you get out of that situation properly just to bring you back into it. You've left, you're gone. Story's done for that life. So now you're walking into a new life. You're walking into a new chapter. There's so much going on. You're already overwhelmed. So give your body a chance to calm down. Give your body a chance to process the past and analyze what you went through and make sure that while you're doing so, you don't necessarily have to cover every base. You don't have to go back to every situation. There's a lot of PTSD that happens with that naturally. And so I'm not encouraging you guys to make it worse. But there's a time and a place to process, and you just need a lot of time to do that. Give yourself time to heal. Give yourself time to talk with a friend or a therapist, or if you're in a situation where you can get a coach, somebody like me who's been there and can walk you through what just to do today, what to do for the week. And I really highly encourage you to get a support team that's going to pray for you very specifically. Now, they don't have to know the situation. They don't have to know all the details, okay? So be very careful about the discretion of who you let in at this time, because we're going to be talking about that later on in upcoming weeks about relationships and trusting people moving forward. So in the meantime, you should hopefully have a handful, at least one person to go to. And if you don't have anybody, reach out to me. I will see what I can do to help connect you with somebody in your area. I just want to make sure that you have at least one person that you can go to. And you don't have to, and this person shouldn't be your sounding board for everything. Okay? It's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be ugly. But there's going to be a time and a place where that person won't be able to give you what you're looking for, because they're also human. They also have needs. They also might need a break from listening to your, it's heavy. What you have to carry is so heavy, and it's a lot to take in all at once for the other party. So I encourage you guys during this healing process to come to God, because none of it's too heavy for him. And he knows what you went through. He saw you suffering. And you have to be careful in regards to blaming God for allowing it to happen, or blaming him for having it happen, because that's not at all who God is. We live in a sinful world, and we all have free will. And there is a reason why you went through what you went through. But there's a reason why you're out. And there's a story behind that. There's a way you can help others in the future for that. And you don't know why at this time. And this is not the time to question and be like, well, what's going on? And get flushed. Like, this is a time where you can ask questions. This is a time where you can get frustrated. This is a time where, like, really meet God with where you're at. If you're frustrated at God, if you're frustrated at the situation, like whatever the case may be, come to him. He knows what's in your heart. You can't hide anything from him. But allow him to take it from you. If you can't unload your burdens with him, then there's nobody else who will take it for you. Because all of us are flawed. All of us are human. And we're not going to respond 100% the way that you would want them to respond. And that's okay. That's good. It just shows you and proves to you that we are all sinners. That we all mess up. That we all can't pick up the pieces for everybody. We can do our best, and we can try, and we can be there for each other, of course. But at the end of the day, like, we have other things we have to do also. And there's a time limit to a degree to anybody, to any person, to any situation. And so for me, that was really hard, because I wanted a person to connect with, because I haven't had that in years. I haven't been able to connect with any person. And I really listened to God when I was trying to unburden myself with people. And I was able to do this to a degree, but it had to be spread out, and it had to be different people, and it had to be different conversations. But all of it, I learned through this process, and my healing was really happening when I was coming to God. And I would come to him first with all, hey, God, this is what I'm going through. This is what I'm feeling. This is what I'm frustrated about. And there was just so much time allowed for me to come to Christ with these burdens, with these issues, with my anger. I was so angry. Not at God, but I was angry at the situation. I was angry at myself. I was angry at him. Yet when I was being honest and I wasn't droning on and on and on, it was like 2 or 3 sentences, just like, hey, this is like what I'm going through. To someone thought I could trust, someone that he would listen to. And I was rejected. Because the devil is a liar. And of course, Leviathan is going to be twisting up all kinds of people in this situation to ensure that I can't get what I need from anybody. I was never able to get help from anybody in my situation when I left. Every door that I went to ask for help, very specifically, who said that they could help, was shut down, rejected. I had somebody tell me, we can't look in the past, we can only move forward in the future. How does that work when you're dealing with a narcissist who has years of abuse and we just pretend that it didn't happen? Like, I'm all for moving on, and I'm not trying to hark on, but I'm not a nagging wife who's complaining about him not picking up his socks. Like, are you kidding me? And I couldn't even get to a point where I could be like, this is heavier than you think it is. This is deeper than you think it is. That this is a common thing that you've dealt with other men and women in our situation. This is why I don't like therapists. Now I'm hoping and trusting that you found somebody that is a therapist that could be a great helper for you, but they're limited. And you have to be careful about which therapist you go to. That's a whole nother thing. But I went through many therapists, and I had a Christian women therapist tell me, well, you guys can watch porn as long as it's consensual. I paused for effect so you guys can roll your eyes and laugh at that. Because doesn't that not sound as stupid as, okay, but it wasn't consensual, for one. And two, the word of God is clear about what that is. I could care less if it was consensual. As taking myself out of that situation and looking at it from a third party and going, excuse me, consensual? That's the issue? It wasn't in my situation, so there was 2 red flags there. Obviously, that was the last time I talked with her. But as just a Christian on the outside going, wait a minute. What does the word of God say? Why you call yourself a Christian and you're giving this advice because you're a worldly therapist who claims to believe in Jesus Christ? I don't blame you. I forgive you in that. But that's not good. And it makes me sad that there are going to be people who listen to her and take that into advisement. Maybe they're struggling with these issues and then she okays it and they're taking her advice over the Lord's advice. I've been there again. And then they continue in sin because their therapist says it's okay. The point I'm making in all this, there is a reason for it, guys, is that you have to be careful about who is your authority in this situation. During your healing process, it's going to be completely out of control for a minute. And you're not going to have, most likely, a head. You're most likely not going to have somebody who's in charge of you, so to speak, to help you and guide you properly. this whole situation, you're removing yourself from a head or somebody who's responsible for you, and they were not good. They were not godly, and it was destructive, and that obviously was the wrong direction. So you remove yourself from that situation, but now you're like, okay, now what? Where do I go? Who's my head? Don't make the mistake of having another person as your head, as your authority, as your guide, as your go-to. I'm not saying it's not good to go out and seek advice and talk with friends and church leaders or whoever it may be that, again, use discernment like I did with this woman. I was like, I'm fresh out. Like, it's less than a month out, and I'm talking to this woman, and I'm like, whoa, this is not at all correct. But I was frustrated because of it too. It's like I was checking out, okay, not you. Okay, not you. Okay, can't talk to this person. But the good news is, through that process, I really got closer to God. And I kept coming to God with this. God, I can't talk to this person about this, so I'm going to talk to you about it. And it wasn't like I was trying not to talk to God or trying to hide it from God or anything like that. Of course, I wanted to talk to God about it, but there's just something different when you're talking to God versus talking to another person. You know what I mean? And because you're so deprived of that intimacy with another person, like, God created us to be a community, and you have no community. Like, you haven't had it. You've been most likely removed so far from any community that they were your only community, and you're still obviously alone. So you're craving personal intimacy with somebody else, and not sexually. Hopefully, please don't go after that. This is the worst time. I've done that before too, guys, in the past. It doesn't work. It made it worse. It's empty. Drugs are empty. Alcohol is empty. Binging anything is empty, unless you're binging Jesus. When your body is still in survival mode for a while, guys, you have to give yourself time. Come to God constantly. Journal. If you're an artist in any way, like art, I'm using that as a verb. Draw, paint, color. Be messy with it. My favorite thing I did when I was going through something is, like, I was breaking plates. And I think we talked about this before. And I did it in a safe environment. And I did it safely. And then now, come to find out, there's places you can go to do this, but you have to pay a lot of money for it, which is interesting. Like, I could do this for free in the desert. But it's good to know that, okay, this is an actual therapy. So if you are angry and you just need to break something, do it, but do it safely, okay? Do it safely. Wear protective eye gear, jeans, boots, you know what I'm saying? Like, protect yourself from being hurt. You don't want to physically hurt yourself in the whole process. But allow your body to release. You haven't been able to do that. And your body's going to release more than you think is there. And you're going to want to move forward faster than you're ready to. It's a natural thing because you're so eager to get to your other life. And trust me, I've done that. It took me a year. And I was like, oh my gosh, are we done yet? Like, come on. Like, I was like, let's go. But I'm very overeager too. But I've also known other people who've left similar situations and they moved on too fast too. They were starting a project, and it was like, because it was part of their healing process, and they saw it as an opportunity to help others, which was fantastic, but it overwhelmed her. And in the midst of that, she did too much too soon, and she stumbled backwards. And sadly, she went back, not necessarily to that person, but the same situation. She went back to the same situation, just with a different person. And my heart breaks because I'm in a situation where I can't help her. And it breaks my heart because I love her, and I know what she's going through. I've been there. I know what that feels like, and the emptiness, and she knows it's wrong. She doesn't want to do it. And she's struggling with those demons right now. And so at this point, all I can do is pray for her and be available for her when she's ready. But again, there's those boundaries too, where I don't feel comfortable with her knowing too much about my personal life now. I don't feel comfortable having her in my home. And it breaks my heart because I saw the progress that she was doing, and I told her, you're going too fast. You're doing too much. You're so overwhelmed. And she didn't give herself enough time to process, and she took on opportunities because she was so concerned about her financial situation. Even though God was providing for her in this financial situation, it wasn't enough. And so she took on another opportunity, and she knew it was a worldly opportunity. She knew it wasn't from God. And she took it anyway because she said, well, I want to see what God will teach me through this. And I've thought that before too. Like, oh, I know this is going to be a hard road, but I'm going to see what God takes us through in this. And that whole process led her backwards. And it started with saying yes to more money because she was scared. Fear will damage you. And if you don't listen to sound advice, and pray about it too, like just because it sounds good doesn't mean it's from God. I'm not saying like I am the end all be all in all these, in any of this. I do want you guys to use discretion. I do want you guys to pray about it because it might not be the right move for you at this time, but it might be a good advice for somebody else, or it might be good advice for the future. Like, our seasons change. Moses didn't need the staff in every season, but God provided him the staff when it was the season to have the staff. And so take your time, be patient with yourself, because they weren't patient with you most likely. So you have to remember too that you're taking on a lot of traits, and you're going to see a lot of things in you that they projected on you. And I encourage you guys, if you haven't listened to last week's episode about fear and condemnation, because we're talking about the spirits that go with it, and I do a deliverance prayer at the end of that as well. But I talk about what that entails, and those are very strong spirits, and it's most likely involved in the trauma, involved with an abusive relationship. So you most likely have the spirit of fear and condemnation. If anything, I would highly recommend you start there to get those things out, because it's going to be very confusing trying to move forward if you're still dealing with spirit of oppression and spirit of rejection and the constant, even though you've left, but you're still feeling like you haven't, and it's still feeding you. There's most likely a spiritual warfare going on, and I want that to be broken off of you for your stability, your future, for you and your family. I want you to be safe. I want you to be secure in where you're moving forward to, and you can't do that if you're still struggling in your current situation. And then if you guys need more help, I do offer a foundational program that really helps you guys get where you need in those first steps. And it's all about the reconstruction of everything that was built incorrectly. Things that we've taken on that we shouldn't have taken on, situations that we shouldn't have been in, and also what we've accepted onto us from other people. And so this program lays out, and this is something that I've written personally. This is something that I've walked through. This is something that has been tried and true in regards to reassembling your foundation, reassembling the basics, because all that has been screwed up. And so we have to just start over again. And you know what? It's going to be faster than the last time that you started over again. But you have to give yourself grace and permission to start over again, because you are. And it's okay that you are. And it's good that you are. And do not hark on yourself. That's why we got rid of the spirit of condemnation last week as well. Do not give yourself a hard time that you're not where you want to be just quite yet. Because there's a reason why it's a process. There's a reason why this will be your new hard. And trust me, this level of difficulty is so much better and so much easier and so much more peaceful than the last time we did all this. You guys, when we were in that relationship, we weren't sleeping. We weren't eating. We weren't taking care of ourselves. We were barely surviving and doing the absolute bare minimum to get by. That's not living. So now we have the opportunity to start living, to start a life, no matter what age you're at, no matter how long it's been. And everyone has their own pace. So do not compare yourself to my struggle, to my healing process, to other people's process. We are all individually unique and beautiful, and God created us for specific reasons. And unless you heal that and you process that and you take your time with it and get yourself reassembled at the very basic level, you're going to fall backwards. You're going to get trapped. You're going to go into the situation again, even if it's with somebody else. And I'm not just using my friend's experience. Like, I did that, guys. I kept trying to get out, and I didn't take the time to process. I didn't take the time to heal. I didn't take the time to repent. I kept moving and numbing and avoiding. And that's why he kept coming back in my life. And as soon as God was like, boom, done. Let's cut it off. Let's move on. I will take care of you. And guess what, guys? God has not lied to me ever. Not one time has God ever lied to me, because God is truth. God is not hiding behind deception. God is not flattering me. God is not making things up to get me to do things that he wants to do. And then all of a sudden, like, oh, hey, no, it's this instead. God is true to his word. God is true to his word. So come to him. All those who are weary and heavy laden, come to Jesus. Because he's the only one who will make your path straight. You have to surrender your will and your timing to his perfect and good will, because he knows what's best for you. He sees more than you do. You have to realize, like, just physically, he can physically see more than us. And time is irrelevant to him. So he can take what happened to us in the past, and he can see what our future is before us. And he will help structure that the way he wants to do it, because it's going to be perfect and it's going to be glorious. And you're going to give him so much praise from it because you surrendered it to him. So I encourage you guys, let this be your new hard. Let the surrender be your new hard. And it took me a while to surrender to God, to be completely honest, guys, because I surrendered everything to my ex. I had PTSD from surrendering. Seriously, everything you can have PTSD over, I had it all. There is nothing you guys can surprise me with that I haven't gone through in some way or another. I had to reassemble my thought process on every single daily thing, brushing my teeth, taking a shower, eating anything, cooking anything, how to sleep, when to go to sleep, when to wake up, how to do that whole process. How to process thoughts, how to process Bible verses. Because this guy would keep completely twisting the truth, because that's what the devil does. He twists it. His tongue is just evil. So I would hear a Bible verse and it would be so completely messed up in my mind because I remember how it was told to me by my ex. And I had to repent of that, reassemble it, give it to God, and have him teach me what the truth was. You guys, it's a mess, and I'm still going through it. Over 3 years ago, when I left, I'm still healing. But now in this stage of my healing, I'm in a different process. I've done the hard work of reassembling my foundation. I've reassembled how I'm implementing in my life. So I've done the hard work ahead of time, and now I'm helping and teaching others how to do the same so you guys can get where I'm at. You guys can be in this side of it. Because this side of it is so much easier, and it's so much easier to say no. I can say no, guys, and not feel anything. I feel so much peace when I say no. I feel so much peace when he still reaches out to me every once in a while. Still, 3 years later, guys, he's still like trying to get with me. And I know he's been with other people. Like, what is going on? But no means no. Whether he hears it or not, I know no means no. And he's not taking up real estate in my head anymore. That took a long time, guys. For the first year, I was still arguing with him in my head because I didn't give myself permission to do that when we were together. It was always, yes, sir. Yes, whatever you want, of course. And then I would struggle with how to do that. Okay, Julie, you're so stupid because you can't figure this out. And and like, I was putting so much pressure on myself back then. And then I had to reassemble how to get out of that and reassemble my thought process properly and go, you know what? I've already given him enough of my time. I already given him enough of my energy. I've already given him all of my resources. Like, there's nothing left for him to take. So now that I've left him, why am I still giving to him? And depending on your situation, blocking might be great, right? But then they'll just come up with another number and text you from another number and do it again and again and again and again. Until you have like 12 different numbers. Like, what? Seriously? Obviously, no means no. So as long as you know that no means no, and that's a full sentence, by the way, N-O period. That is a full sentence. No. And then move on. Look away. Do not give the devil more. Continue to come to God. When you come to God, the devil has to flee. So the more you come to God, the easier it is to not be interested in what is over here. Because you know what that looks like. You know what it feels like. You know what it's going to do to you. You know the entrapment. And it'll be easier to see the signs earlier the more you're with God and the more you work out with him. This is something you can't learn from other people. Because God knows your innermost being because he created it. Nobody else created you. God created you. What better authority figure do you have than the creator of you, who knitted you when you were in your mother's womb? So he knows every part of you. He knows your personality. He knows your likes, your dislikes. He knows every single hair on your head. He knows the number. Even if it gets smaller every year, it's okay. He still knows that number. He knows when you wake up. He knows when you lie down. He knows when you're thinking about him. He knows when you're not. And through this whole process, guys, he will help you remove any feelings of inadequacy, feelings of connection, feelings of any type of false love, any type of attachment, any type of anger, anything that you're connected with in regards to your previous life. God is the only one who can sever that. But you have to give him time to do it. It's not like one day you're your normal self, you go to bed, and then you wake up and you're in this horrible abusive relationship. It's not overnight. It takes time to be coerced. It takes time to be manipulated. It takes time for your brain to get rewired. Do you understand what I'm saying? So all we're doing is reversing that. The devil has been on this earth long enough to know how our brains work. So you guys need to know how your brains work, because the devil knows that. And that is the battleground. And it starts with the basics. It starts from the very beginning. It starts as soon as you leave. Give yourself time. Make time. Look for it. Cry out to God in the midst of doing dishes, in the midst of piles of laundry, in the midst when you're in the restroom, like whatever it is. Get off your phone. Instagram does not need you that much. It's not going to miss you while you're away. TikTok will be there tomorrow. Do you understand what I'm saying, guys? This is the time to heal. And you cannot heal if you're continuing to numb yourself. You cannot heal if you're continuing to avoid it. This is the time to go deep. This is the time to go hard. And it's the best because it's so freeing. And you're going to cry a lot, guys. When you go through the foundational program, like, have tissues with you, okay? It asks some deep questions. I go through the lessons and I ask really deep questions. And I want you guys to take your time with it and really invest yourself into it. And if I was coming out of my relationship and this was available, that's why I provided it for you guys, because I personally would have benefited heavily from this. I had to figure it all out on my own. So that's probably why it took me longer than it might take you. So I'm not trying to give you like a shortcut or like fast answers or like heal faster by doing this. What I am saying is that through the podcast and through the programs and everything like that, you'll be a little bit more equipped. And so hopefully through that process, you won't have to go through a lot of the mistakes that I went through. You won't have to go to the mistakes that my friend went through, that she's still in. What I am providing is what would be helpful in the situation that you're in with starting over again, no matter what season you are in your life, no matter where you are financially or emotionally or whatever it is. Leaving a traumatic experience is heavy. Leaving an abusive relationship is heavy. It's not easy, and not everyone is going to understand. And if I learned that alone, just the conversation we had earlier about how you just can't go to anybody and everybody, I would have saved so much grief, like let alone time trying to find people. But the emotional grief that I was going through, trying to, like 6 months, 9 months, I was searching for somebody who would listen to me, even just for like a minute. I'm not trying to complain even about my ex. I want to grieve. I want to cry. And I want somebody just to like hold me. I haven't been held in so long. I just wanted to cry and be held and told it was okay. So I can't do that over the airwaves, but I am giving you guys hugs and I'm holding and embracing you for those who need that. And thanks be to God because he provided people in different various of ways, and I was able to get what I needed. But it wasn't until after I surrendered that to God and gave it to God first that I was in a position where I could do that. And so it's not easy, guys. I'm not ever going to tell you it's easy on this side of it, but it's so much better. And it does get easier. That's the difference between what you're doing now and being in an abusive relationship. When you're in an abusive relationship, it starts off kind of easy, right? It starts off kind of fun and mysterious and different. And you're like, whoa, this is more me because it's so different than what I'm used to. This is not cookie cutter. What's over here? It's a lot of curiosity and excitement, but it's also an entrapment. And then everybody can raise their hand and contest that it gets harder and more difficult, and it never eases up. There's like I got some type of recognition for all this hard work I've been putting in for months. And yet we know, even though that we're enjoying that brief minute sometimes. Oh, because I can't think of any time it lasted even an hour. It never lasted even an hour. Oh gosh, it was just a few minutes at most. And then it starts over again. And that, you guys, is a dopamine hit. So we do it again. And we work hard, and we work hard, and we strive for approval, and we strive for their acceptance and their love and all this. Their love, I'm doing air quotes, you guys can't see. And we get that brief, I did it. I made it. Yes. Okay, we gotta do it over again. It's exhausting. Now, on this side of it, guys, can I just say, as hard as you think it is, it's only difficult because it's new. That's the difficulty of like, what do I do? And that's why, and I was by myself. I learned all this by myself. And I looked out there, like, who can help me? So this is why God is so good in regards to what we're doing here, because I'm hoping that this podcast finds you in a place where, like, I can help you. Hopefully I'm helping you in some way, because I had to figure all this out by myself. And God obviously directed me and guided me, but I said, I would be so much further along if I had somebody guiding me a little bit more one-on-one. Because God allows you to mess up a little bit more than I would. And that's good, because that's how God is, and he wants to teach you bigger lessons for that. And you will probably still make mistakes, even if you have somebody helping you, or if you have me as coaching or whatever it is. Like, we'll still make mistakes, and that's okay. But it's nice to have an accountability partner, which I didn't have. Because using yourself as an accountability partner at this stage of life, not always the best thing. You're still not trustworthy yet to yourself. But again, you'll get there. You'll get there. The hard work will be worth it. It will pay off. And it does get easier, guys. It's worth. If you're already going to spend all that energy and time into doing the next stage of pleasing your captor, let's just shift it over on this side of it and give it to yourself. Give yourself permission to work hard on you. And look what the benefits are on that. And it gets easier. And you develop new habits. And this Bible verse is perfect. Perfect. I'm going to be reading from Psalms 46. This got me through a lot of turmoil while I was still in the abusive relationship. I just really envisioned God wrapping me with his wings. And that's not necessarily in this verse, but it's just a reminder of how he is our safety. And so while we're in bed together, I had to just be with Christ in my heart, in my head, to get out of reality of the trauma and abuse that was happening. Psalms 46. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth gives way, though the mountains be moved into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble at its swelling. There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy habitation of the Most High. God is in the midst of her. She shall not be moved. God will help her when morning dawns. The nations rage, the kingdoms totter. He utters his voice, the earth melts. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Come, behold the works of the Lord, how he has brought desolations on the earth. He makes wars cease to the end of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the chariots with fire. Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord of hosts is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. And so I'm so excited to dive into this next season of Life Reassembled, because we're going to be really diving deep into all these different things. And I'm so excited that you guys are going to be with me on this. And let me know how it helps you. Let me know what you're learning through this process. Leave a comment, DM me on Instagram. Let's connect. And then the links for the programs I was talking about earlier are they're in the descriptions as well. So you can find links to that and get signed up. And with the foundational program, you can just start that straight away. I love you guys. I'm here for you as much as I can be. And I'll talk to you guys next week. Thank you for joining us for today's conversation on Life Reassembled. If this episode spoke to you, share it with someone who is also rebuilding their life, because none of us are meant to do this alone. To keep growing with us, join us on the Life Reassembled Facebook community. Check out our free identity blueprint on our website, or learn more about our coaching and upcoming courses at reassembledlife.com. That's re-assembledlife.com. You can also connect with me on Instagram at Life Reassembled for daily encouragement and resources. Remember that healing doesn't happen overnight, but every small step forward is part of reassembling your life.